Spring training is here. Let's get to the key battles and more.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olver, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen or watch every day. Subscribe on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, then like the video and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partner at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Well, while it's not exactly true that the offseason is over, we're getting closer and closer. Spring training is here. Pitchers and catchers reported to Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona on Sunday, and Sam, we're here to bring it all the latest news and updates throughout the week as the week moves along, maybe making fun of sports talk in a way. Today's key battles, we'll do key questions later this week, key players, all the key categories throughout the week. Roster projection later, Bregman update, how Scott Boris is involved. Sam, welcome to spring training.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Matt.
You too.
I'm not a big first day of pitchers and catchers report guy. Like it doesn't necessarily feel like the offseason's over. Maybe it's because of all the Bregman questions. Maybe it's because there's still, moves to be made. I'm more of like the first spring training game type of guy. That's where I go. But
February 20th.
Yeah, but it is kind of cool that, guys are out there, they're talking. I mean, we are definitely in the home stretch before, we see baseball again. And it never ceases to amaze me how quickly this stuff goes by.
Absolutely, because as we record here, we're 37 days away from a real game. And yes, our team gets a 9-day head start than everybody else, but we're gonna embrace that and soak that in. Regarding the key battles, there's really three of them that I have on my outline in front of me, and I do think it's appropriate to start with the hot corner, Matt Shaw, third base.
Yes,
and then I talk a little bit about this is going off your solo show from the end of the week last week. Maybe a little bit on the last bullpen spot, a little bit on the last roster spot, or position player, bench wise. But we could even get to that more with the roster projection, and then also the fifth starter's job, because I think really there's one name that intrigues me.
Yeah,
and almost anyone on the roster. So we're going to get to Jed Hoyer, Craig Counsell's comments later in the week, maybe for Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But Sam, this does appear, unless the Cubs are close to a deal with Alex Bregman, which they're not, I think we could say that now. This does appear to be Matt Shaw's job to lose at third.
Well, Matt, I think what I've learned now, this will be what, our third spring training? Yeah, it'll be our third. There's certain
our fourth.
It's crazy. There's certain things that I think are worth talking about in spring training, and I think there's certain things that are worth ignoring. For example, on the latter, Kyle Tucker 2 for 18 in the spring just doesn't matter, right? But what I learned last year, a couple of things. Christopher Morel really showed signs of not being able to play the position at third in the spring, and that carried over, and that was important, and I'm glad we discussed it because it turned out to be a massive problem during the season. Hector Neris, 2 years ago, it was Michael Fulmer. Those guys struggled in the spring. That carried over into the beginning of the season and cost us quite a few baseball games in April and May.
Right.
Those sort of battles are going to be what you pay attention to. And you mentioned Matt Shaw. Yeah, I'm going to be paying attention every day.
Okay.
And not even just it's not just air or no air. How comfortable does he look? Because like even when Morel was making those plays, it always felt a little bit robotic or just not natural over there, I guess is the term. There's another word that's slipping my mind, but how does he look? Does he pass the eye test on routine plays? How does he look going to his left? How does he look going to
Preach.
his right?
Mhm,
What do
mhm.
the at bats look like? Those are actually important things to look at in the spring with a young player, and I'm going to be doing the same with the relievers. And as you mentioned, so I guess the point I'm trying to make is I'm going far too long trying to get to this is that there are really some worthwhile storylines in the spring to watch for on a daily basis. Thank you.
Yeah, I would call them key storylines.
Yeah.
Actually, you use the word worthwhile. I would call them key storylines.
What's the word I was trying to think of there?
Matt Shaw, I think natural was good. Matt Shaw, only 23 years young, 35 games of AAA experience. Yet we're all excited to see the kid play.
Yeah.
I am, and I have to say, it's because of some of his teammates. I like the progress from PCA last year. I like the progress from Bush. I like the progress from Amaya. All those three dudes are going to be some of the keys to this 25 campaign. So I've warmed up to the idea that Shaw's going to not only get opportunity, but maybe the fact that he's going to start on March 18th, whether that's at second or third, depending on what happens with Horner. Although it does seem like they're just going to give Shaw the runway at third and then figure out second if they need to with a Horner absence. And this also reminds me of Craig Counsell's hiring, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Did they not hire him in part because of his ability to develop young players at this level?
Beautiful.
And if Shaw isn't ready to start the season, the remaining options are poor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to say it. John Birdie, Vidal Brujan, and Nicky Lopez.
How about that guy Workman?
And Gage Workman. I apologize.
Yeah.
Well, he's still on my opening day roster projection, but only because I haven't seen all the other guys yet.
Apologizing's not necessary.
Gotcha. Well, I'm trying to be on top of this.
No, it's not. It's not like you forgot Brooks Robinson.
So Matt Shaw at third.
That was funny. Nobody.
Other one is the other one is the number 5 job because Imanaga, Steele, Tyone, and Boyd when healthy. Those are locks.
Locks.
Okay.
And I like those 4.
But folks, Javier Assad should not be a lock.
No.
Colin Ray is probably destined for the bullpen in the 2 or 3 inning role. And Counsell says all the time about getting out-getters. Is Ben Brown not a prime candidate to do that?
Yeah, I discussed this, like you said, for whatever day, Thursday or Friday. Thursday.
Don't remember.
Yeah, and
go Cubs.
And with where they're at, with options and stuff in the bullpen, if Brown starts, it really, it's open. I mean, it's open for him to do that. And then Ray shifts over the bullpen, and one of these other guys obviously finds themselves as the odd man out. The question with Ben Brown, and I'm sure this will come up with Jed, and we'll talk about it later in the week, is like, where are they at with his health?
Exactly. I just want to see him out there.
Because if his health is hey, we really want to ease him back, then throw him in the 7th or 8th inning, 2-3 times a week. But if they feel really strong about where he's at physically, he is the best option, at least the highest ceiling option to be that starter.
100%. And the only reason why I don't have him in the roster projection is because I need to see him. I need to see him on the field. I want to see him after his first, second spring outing. And so that's the only reason why I don't have him on my card that I'll show next segment. But if Matt Shaw's intriguing name 1, Ben Brown's number 2 for me.
Agree. And then number 3
Yeah.
would just be the Merriweathers, the
Sure.
Keegan Thompsons.
Right.
You know, are those guys traded? Are they DFA'd, or do they pitch themselves into a roster spot? You know, even a guy like Luke Little, guys with options,
Totally.
they're fighting for that opening day spot when the Cubs travel, to face the Dodgers.
All right, well, let's keep talking about some of those key battles, mostly in the bullpen, also maybe the last spot or two on the bench. We're going to do that right after this.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. And there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you missed the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm back in my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the National Basketball Association.
We're back here on Locked On Cubs, first spring training episode right here on a Monday. Thanks for starting your week with us. We'll be 5 episodes a week for a long time.
From now until mid-December or something.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe the 4th of July we do 4, something like that.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
But no, it's for a while.
Yeah.
It's for a while. We'll just say that much. Folks,
it would be nice. Sorry to cut you off. It'd be nice if this July 4th vibes are better. The last 2 July 4ths have been awful around this team. And we've had to decide when we're going to do shows. And, I didn't even watch the Cubs play on July 4th last year.
No, we went furniture shopping. So let's keep going over the roster, including the bullpen options. And you did mention in your solo show in the last segment about optionality with some of these dudes and maybe how that plays a role.
Mm-hmm.
Marquis put a roster projection out on Sunday, and they have Merriweather and Thompson making it. And the reasons they used was because they're out of options. I don't see it that way. I don't think they should be higher on the depth chart because they're not able to be sent to Des Moines.
Well, who did Marquis have off then? Who did Marquis have off the team?
Eli Morgan, Nate Pearson. I mean, wild stuff.
Really?
Yes. Also, Tyson Miller doesn't have options either. If he implodes this spring, who's to say he's a lock? But right now, I have him in the roster.
Well, I did on Thursday.
Right. Well, I do too. So never mind.
No, but seriously, but you're right. But
why should Keegan Thompson make the roster? Because he can't be optioned in Des Moines. He better pitch lights out if he's going to make it.
But
Julian Merriweather, I remember driving home from an appointment last August or September. Merriweather couldn't throw a strike.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Who was that against? The Giants or the Cardinals?
I know he had a meltdown against Cleveland.
It was on a Friday, and then he had the meltdown against Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
No. Oh, yeah. I do actually recall that Friday afternoon.
I think it might have been Toronto.
You think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
No. Well, and the Cubs traded for Mr. Eli Morgan. I would find it hard to believe that, again, but that's the point of this episode is, hey, Sam, why should we watch spring training? Well, right there, because these guys are going to be pitching for jobs, and that should matter because
100%.
I look at bullpen. I've said this. Bullpen pitchers remind me a lot of field goal kickers, remind me a lot of soccer players in the sense of form. When you're in good form, it usually, it's a thing. Hey, this guy's been pitching well lately, so that's going to carry over. Hey, this guy doesn't have it right now. Maybe he needs some time. So whoever's in the best form coming out of spring training, and maybe now in hindsight, I look back at my solo show, maybe I was wrong. Maybe the only real locks are like Hodge and Brazier and Presley, maybe,
Yeah.
and then everyone
And
else.
Thielbar.
And Thielbar.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is just pitching for a job, and the
Right.
options and stuff have something to do with it. But I agree with you. Keegan Thompson and Merriweather, they have to earn that. We need to see 2023 second half Merriweather. I need to see Keegan Thompson put together a month stretch of good pitching, because we haven't seen that in quite a long time out of him.
Absolutely. And the guys on the 40-man who do have options, Little, Poteet, Roberts, Palencia, Neely, Hollowell, and Killian, what are their roles? Or do they even last with the organization beyond mid or late March?
Can I make a
those are
bold prediction?
Those are the names there. Yeah.
Every year I do a little reliever prediction. A couple years ago was Leiter, hit a home run. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember what I said last year, which probably means I was incorrect. It might have been Leiter again. I don't remember.
Have to check the tape on that.
Yeah. Here's my bold prediction going into spring.
Yeah.
Ready for this? Luke Little makes the opening day roster.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a bold one.
It is.
I know it's bold. I think he's going to pitch his way there.
It is, just because of on paper names, but he made it last year.
I think he makes the opening day roster. I think he pitches well in spring and shows that, because I believe he has the best lefty stuff by far on this team. And I think he's going to pitch his way into it. I think he's motivated. I think he's healthy. And I think when he's right, you can't leave him off the roster. He's too talented.
Before I list off the non-roster invitee relievers,
oh boy,
I did want to just mention,
we could be here a long time,
Jordan Wicks. Where is he going to open the year? Des Moines rotation, right?
I would think Des Moines rotation, but I would say he also has an outside shot to be that fifth starter.
Okay, right.
Because that fifth starter spot right now is Ray, Assad, Brown, Wicks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, right.
So I think he has an outside shot.
I'm trying to, I guess, how would I put this? Prospect.
So much of this stuff's health related too.
It is. Other prospect non-roster arms, by the way, that got invited. Brandon Birdsell, Cade Horton, Riley Martin, and Antonio Santos. Here are the non-roster relief names.
Okay,
Sam.
I'm going to read a book.
Brad Keller, who
a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of
Tyler
people like
Zombro
him.
Loves.
Yep, a lot of people like him.
Trevor Richards, Brandon Hughes, Brooks Kriske, Phil Bickford, and Ben Heller.
It's not as much as I thought it was.
If one of those guys goes 9 or 10 innings and gives up one hit, one walk, strikes out 10 plus, maybe one of those guys makes it. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Key battles.
Do you remember what I remember from 2 springs ago? So I believe our first spring.
Yep, that was the first spring. Yeah.
We came out of the 2022 campaign, and I believe we named our 2022 pitcher of the year Adrian Sampson.
100%.
And then he came out in the spring. Do you remember? And he
was awful.
He was giving up 2-3 homers every inning.
No, it was bad.
And I remember that's another one where it's like, okay, well, that's it for him.
I don't even know if he's in baseball.
But do you remember that spring?
I do.
And we were like, oh, he's got to be. And it's like, no, this can't be right.
So here, let's take a look at this.
All right.
Steele, Imanaga, Tyone, Boyd, Assad right now, starting 5. But again, that's only because I haven't seen Ben Brown pitch since June.
Yeah.
Relief pitchers, Presley, Hodge, Miller, Pearson, Thielbar, Brazier, Morgan, and Ray. Catchers, Amaya and Kelly. Infield, Bush, Horner, Swanson, Shaw, Birdie, and Workman. But again, that's only because Workman was a Rule of 5 guy. Nicky Lopez, I think, could get that spot. And then Happ, PCA, Tucker, Saya, and Canario. And Vidal Brujan maybe could get a spot over Canario, maybe. But I feel better about this roster than even 2 weeks ago.
Go Cubs.
So,
yeah, you could get off of it now.
Okay.
Oh, I just want to show my face. kind of squint. It's kind of
okay. I was wondering what the pause was.
Yeah, I was just kind of squinting.
Let me take a screenshot of that after the show.
Yeah,
Oh, so you don't like that roster?
no.
As the sun, by the way, is particularly squinting. We record at this time of day. I got to get my sunglasses on, apparently.
No, it's not that I don't like the roster. It just feels like we're missing somebody.
Ooh, well, who? Cody Bellinger? They traded him.
Can I ask a couple follow-ups? Number one, so is Canario, if something happens to PCA, who plays center? Is it Canario or do they?
So are you saying PCA was placed on the IL?
Yeah, I'm saying PCA.
Alcantara.
Okay, so they call him up.
Yes.
Or maybe shift Tucker over there. He could play a little center.
Right.
Okay, great. And then if something were to happen to Bush, is Birdie the guy?
100%. Well, who else would it be?
Right.
It's Birdie, unless Casey puts a first baseman's mitt on this spring.
Mm-hmm.
You get called up from Iowa.
Couple of little small things that I don't love. The bullpen stuff's fascinating, and I'll say this before we can move on. You said it in the first segment, and it's the most important thing to take away from this episode, folks, is you're commuting. Use your commuting to work. Matt already said it. This is what counsel is here to do.
Thank you.
There's a lot of arms. Figure out which ones are the best. Figure out which ones fit best, and put the right 8 guys in the bullpen and 5 starters out there, so this team can hit the ground running in April and May.
Wow, love it. Coming up next, a small Alex Bregman update. It's small because there really isn't one. And light of the Pete Alonso signing, is Scott Boris past his prime? Stay tuned. We're back here on Locked On Cubs, and I know one of his clients signed for over 700 M's in December, but I really think Scott Boris might be past his prime, Sam. Pete Alonso played 162 games last year. Mm-hmm. He's one of the premier sluggers in the sport, has been since 2019. He got a 2-year, 54 M's deal with an opt-out after 1 year. Mm-hmm. And then need I remind anyone that Cody Bellinger didn't sign until late February last year, and Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery didn't sign until last March. And Alex Bregman is currently unsigned. So I know this does annoy you a little bit.
More than a little. Yeah.
Okay.
The Alonso thing, I think, is more about where the game is today than probably Boris. I just don't see. I mean, Freddie got paid. I'm talking, when I say that, I'm talking about first base, obviously. Like, people just don't value that position a lot unless you're absolutely crushing it. And you know, Alonso's numbers did decrease last year. I think, you know, what did he hit? About 230, 240, something in that range. Yeah. But overall, I mean, to me, the best example of where Scott Boris probably should look in the mirror is what he did to the southpaw Jordan Montgomery last year. I mean, you know, because not only did he wait and he didn't get the deal that he wanted, it really affected him. He didn't pitch well. Correct. You know, Bellinger didn't have a great season last year. He waited. Now Bregman, and it just feels stubborn, and it feels, again, bad for the sport. And obviously I have bias because we cover the sport, and having guys sign in a respectable period of time helps us and our product. So, you know, there's implied bias there. But, you know, Wednesday night, I think I mentioned this on my show, but Wednesday, it felt like, and it wasn't from any official people, but it was buzzing. Cubs offered Bregman, this and that. And then, you know, we got a couple of our sources to help to say, hey, I think I mentioned this on the show. Hey, hold your horses on this. Nothing's imminent. You're getting ahead of yourself. And it's like, all right. And now it's been absolute crickets.
Nothing. Since
then, Cubs are reporting to spring. And I don't understand how that's good for the player. No. If he can't report, and and it just feels like you're haggling over little details. And you know, as an agent, your job is to do what's best for your player. And it just, you know, I just don't love it, and I know, okay, well, that's Sam, 6 years, 150 versus 4 for 105. That's life-changing stuff. I get it, but like, why did this take so long to get here? Like, why couldn't that be done? There needs to be a deadline put in place. And yeah, I think Scott Boras passed his prime. I think he's probably going to lose another client this year, and I talked about this last year. There has to be a conflict of interest because he had no problem with Soto. Soto
Right.
got his, $800 billion. And
Right.
but then now he's got Alonso and now Bregman, and it's like he almost has to work them against each other. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and it's really unlikable for the game. I mean, look at the NBA. As much as the NBA's product has really, in my opinion, regressed recently, like that trade deadline that they just had that week. We all knew trades were coming. It was unbelievable. In July, when they have their free agency, it's 48 hours. It's unbelievable. There's none of this. Get it done. Same with the NFL. Get a deadline in here and make it more fun. I guess the counter would be, well, hey, at least you have something to talk about going into February. But we're just regurgitating information and go, this might happen. This might happen. It's not good for the sport.
No, because we had 3 months to do that. November, December, January, maybe even a little bit of October. So,
I want to talk more about Kyle Tucker and
baseball.
I want to talk more about, hey, are we going to turn double plays better this year? Why weren't we that good at that last year? And,
right.
I don't want to talk about, Bregman's 5th year.
Right.
He's not Mike Schmidt. He's not Mike Schmidt.
Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. First spring training.
Not Alex Rodriguez.
Episode. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two.
Not Brooks Rodriguez, Brooks Robinson, or Adrian Beltre. Sorry, I'm done.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube or leave a 5-star review wherever you're listening. All right, back tomorrow with more from Sloan in Mesa, AZ. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.